right, y'all. What's going on? It's Greg. Greg said it. Sunday edition. As normal. Shout out to everyone who's here, who's normally here, and supporting this channel here. Give me an extra second, get me a little breathless time sneaking up here. Shout out to everyone. Make sure you in this chat, run these lights up. Make sure you like, make sure you share, subscribe if you're new here. And man, whew, I want to have a conversation with y'all today. Only like I do it. We kind of touched on it on Thursday, where with B Watts, shout out to B Watts, and we was there with B Watts and JR, and we kind of talked about the conversation about Coach Prime. And I wouldn't be myself if I didn't, because I'm not sold to any kind of limitation, anything like that. But I noticed since then, I've noticed more people were talking about it since that conversation. So I said, this must be a really big thing. And I've heard a couple different perspectives. I haven't heard a whole lot. This is definitely going to be an interactive day. I know people have a lot to say. This will be the day you have a chance to express yourself in the chat. And we definitely going to talk about it, because I think that we kind of overlook a lot of things. I'm going to give you an example. When I didn't have a channel then, but when I was watching Coach Prime at Jackson State, I was there primarily those 2 years. I wasn't at that first one, the spring year, but the spring season. But I noticed that it was always rumors about Coach Prime, and he really entertained it a lot. And then like that last year, game day was there. That was a big deal. Go to HBCU, right? Yeah, Good Morning America was there when they did the morning thing with Michael Strahan was there, and he sponsored them with the suits and everything too. So everybody was pouring resources in that, and a lot of people were really hyped about the mission that he gave about. But I think it happens a lot of things behind the scenes that we will probably never know about. We kind of detour the extent of that and how long it goes and how much it covered as far as that vision. A lot of people were like, no, Coach Prime couldn't leave. And then we were hearing rumors. And then when Colorado rumor came, people really saw, oh, there's no way. That's nonsense. And he was kind of shrugging off as, oh, it's just rumors. And then he made a comment when they had the game day against Southern. I believe it was that day. And he made the first comment that kind of sounded like he was like, I would entertain it. I'll be a fool not to entertain it. But before that, he was like, oh, no. And all those schools he actually was talking to, and he has the right to talk to him. He has the right to talk to him just like any other coach. I think sometimes people pin him in a corner because of the hype that he put behind what he says and the hope that comes with the situations that he's been in so far, because he always go in a hopeless situation, like with the programs he's taking over at the time. That don't mean they don't have no history, just like don't mean Colorado don't have no history. I don't mean Jackson State never had no history. But at the time he came, it was at a low point that was not normal. And the fans were really hungry, but then the HBCU was a site period to have somebody of his caliber, to be representing Jackson State at that time in the SWAC. And he brought a lot of eyeballs there and about the resources needed, and a lot of the players were looking at it. And, they couldn't go with him. They went to other schools, or they would transfer to those schools. And it was a lot more competitive. I mean, it's still Division I football. SWAC has good athletes. There's a lot of times don't get the looks and opportunities. So he was bringing that. And that was a mission of his. But again, I think it has to be understood that it may be some things behind the scenes we just don't know. There's some things that happened at Jackson State, like some conversation with the money. Maybe it wasn't going to come through. Maybe it was, it had some violence he mentioned later. Maybe the opportunity was better for his kids to see what Shador is doing, and even the Travis, because they wanted to limit them. They want to say, oh, you can do it here, but you can't do it there. You're too small. You only can play both sides here. Everything Travis did would have been limited because they would say, oh, you only did it because you was at HBCU. They want to limit him to, oh, you did it in the Big 12, but could you do it in the SEC? And then they say you can't do it in the NFL. So it's a tale of two sides of the coin that we're looking at, because on one end, you want to do something great for others, and on the other end, you got to do something great for you. Now, I had the comment that I made, and I heard that Cam Newton made a comment, but he put a twist on it. And it was Coach Prime coached his sons at Little League, he coached them in high school, he coached them at college, and I made a comment, it would be nothing but a completion if he was able to do it at the pro level. I don't see how he would ever say that's absolutely out, because he said, as he said on the Good Morning America, the only way I entertain this thing is if I'm able to coach all my boys. The reason why that's possible is because he got one low and one high draft pick, right? And in a matter of time, that's possible. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this for the people who sensitive to this. Well, it is what it is, because the people in Jet State already went through this. It came suddenly. They was winning. They was in the SWAC championship. Then next, he had a me. The rumors got louder and louder. To next, oh, he's going to Colorado. It was the last place people thought he would go to. And he was saying he wasn't planning on leaving. He wasn't even, outside him saying I would entertain the thought, I would be a fool not entertain the thought. That was the only time he really gave any kind of hint. Meanwhile, he was talking. Now we hearing rumors that he's talking to this, he's talking to that. I think the comment he made, I'll be a fool not to entertain it. I'd be a fool not to entertain it, right? And maybe he has talked to some SEC. Maybe he's talked to them. But for us to say what's not possible, I think it has a lot to do with his vision and some things that we may not know, right? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Leave y'all input in the chat. This is definitely going to be a highly chat-motivated conversation. I want to hear what y'all got to say about it, because I know a lot of times people want to have some input on that. And like before I started my show, I was just had a lot to say. That's why I started my own, really. Now I get into some people's chats. I thought he didn't follow his sons, though. Well, see, that's wordplay. See, that's what you get. That's wordplay. I'm not sponsored by Coca-Cola. Blur that out. But he followed his sons. What does that really mean? You left to your interpretation, and of course he'll throw it back at you. You got to think about it. Follow my sons mean following them. He would never follow his sons no matter what he do, because he's already been in the NFL. He would be following his sons if he was following them. Like, you know how some people get a coaching job because the guy get recruited, and the high school coach get a job at college, like we seen with the movie Blindside. A lot of people always say, okay, you give me I get a job if you get this kid. That's following your son. He already done been to the NFL. He already done been an analyst. So technically it's impossible for him to follow his sons. And that comment may have been more so to the tone and the angle of a reporter than the situation itself. It's his words. What does it really mean? He could have been saying something like, oh, you just gonna go in because your son gone. He might say, look, I don't follow my son. I leave. That don't mean that technically if his son get drafted, he go to that's following his sons, because like I said, it's impossible for him to ever follow his sons, because they're following his path right now. The fact that they're trying to go from college to the NFL to be great and be a Hall of Fame, he's already did it. So they're following him. It's nothing about him following them. He's the coach. He's never following his sons because he's the coach. He's not going to play with them. That would be technically following his sons. So you got to look at the wordplay that he loves to use. Absolutely. See, you just lost their legendary coach Matt as he just passed. Some Blues Brown would be a double whammy. I think it's just a matter of time, honestly. I'm being real with y'all today, because I've always said certain things, even from the beginning. This is not new to me. because I've know people patterns. I've seen how he handled the Jackson State situation, and I think the only reason people really hurt was because it was somewhat felt to be premature. I think people knew he would leave eventually, but after 2 years, I thought he had another year in him or two. I thought maybe he'll stay to Shador graduated if he was really doing that mission. I also felt like that season, but then I looked at it. What else did he have to accomplish? I mean, he had dominated the SWAC. He didn't win the Celebration Bowl, but he was on the way to try to win the Celebration Bowl on the way out the door and lost it in like a double, triple overtime. And it wasn't on him. Players didn't play. They didn't play their best, but I mean, they competed, and the boy dropped the ball in the end zone at the end of the game. All right. Yeah, I understand Travis, his son. That's why it would take years, but we don't even know when he say son what exactly that meant, because he didn't say all three sons. He could have meant two. See, so we put our own limitations and thoughts on stuff that he ain't say. I mean, they're gonna treat Travis right. They're gonna treat Travis right because they paying him. He's fighting against the money. Let's see. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's things behind the scenes that he may see. Like right now, we talking about a contract extension, and he got stuff on the table. But remember, Jackson State was trying to extend his contract too. So some of these people here, some of y'all knew. Look at the pattern. They was trying to pay him at Jackson State, but it wasn't going to be enough. And it may have been some technical stuff that just wasn't going right as well that we don't know about. They say some money was stole, this and that. He just got a better situation in Colorado. He talked about, when he first got there, he had his toes amputated. He was talking about the hospital is inside the same building. He just go up or down a couple floors, wherever. And he was at the hospital. He talked about that from a health standpoint. Everything was right there, right? Hospital was in the building. He talked about how he had they bragged about the high quality athletic facility with the pools and the training room. Everything was a step up. It wasn't just the money, it was everything. The situation was a step up because he can do what he want, to bring the school to the level that he brought it to. He had the opportunity to do things that Jackson State couldn't provide, period. And so, like he said, I would be a fool. Not just, it's a historical Black institution versus a PWI and all that, or the money. Yeah, the money was different because, I think he got like right at $1 million or something. And these people pretty much tripled, quadrupled what he had. But now, as we would assume, they're like, well, he don't brought all this money to the school and they won, and other programs need coaches, and they willing to pay him 2, 3, 4, probably double his salary. He's not even the top paid coach in his conference, and he's bringing more volume, and this, that, and that, and it's all relevant and irrelevant because those schools he may not never go to. I don't think he just went to Colorado because it was available. I think it was a combination of factors that made him go to Colorado. I think that Colorado has a lot of things to offer that he needed at the time. They don't mean that nobody else can offer something to him. It just means at that point, Colorado gave him everything he needed at the time: the creativity, the ability to do what he want. They paid more. They paid his staff more. All the stuff he needed. Because another thing about Jackson State, even if he got paid, like he said, his staff was still making minimum wage down there, and he want them to get paid. They were making, I don't know if they even got $100,000, some of them. But you go over here, everybody got multiple six figures. Now, are you in Boulder? Yeah, that's different. You get multiple six figures in Boulder, and money don't go as far as you was in Mississippi. But all of that can factor in him leaving, because maybe he go to a place where he get paid more eventually. Maybe the money go further. Maybe they closer to family. I don't know, but I do know this. I don't necessarily say that he's gonna leave this year. I didn't say that. See, people got to listen. But it may be a play that come into effect the next year or the year after that. But best believe it's going to intensify. It's going to intensify as he continues to be successful. And it definitely would intensify as what Shador was able to accomplish at the next level. If he's hindered in any way, if any of his players are hindered in any way, of course they're gonna throw it back. Well, he need his daddy. I don't know if that's the best thing for him because Shadul has to show that he can achieve without his daddy at some point. Because all they've been doing is throwing at him is daddy ball, daddy ball. He gets away with stuff because his daddy. He called the plays because his daddy. And I really want to see if that's true or false. By letting him go into another system and see. Because I know he played different in Jackson State compared to where he's at now. So two different coordinators. I don't want to put the blame on him. I know he had some influence, but I'm sure he had some influence in Jackson State. Different team, different way of running it. So I don't necessarily say, oh, Prime in the jump ship. People will say they don't know what they really want to say. They'll say he going to SEC, he going to NFL. They've been throwing both of them back and forth. They've been throwing NFL the whole time because he's from the NFL. And will he fit in? Do he want to coach at? And now he's saying, I entertain it. First, he's like, I absolutely won't do it. So what's going on? Because you got to realize what I've said many times. Coach Prime got into coaching not because he wanted to coach. According to his own story, he got into coaching because his boys needed him. And he moved to every level with his boys, even up to college. So now you're at the point where, is it impossible for him to move up to the NFL if need be? I don't think it's impossible if he felt necessary, especially if he's accomplished what he want to accomplish. I don't necessarily think that's a national championship because everybody don't put that limitation on themselves. But he has another dominant season at the college level, and let's say he go undefeated, he lose 1 or 2 games, go to the conference championship in 3 years. Do he stay just to try to win the national championship? I don't know. That's what I'm looking at. I don't know what we can't define what his goal is and what he means, but he had a pretty good year. If he have another one, just know that the intensity gonna increase on is he gonna go to NFL? Is he gonna go here? Is he gonna go there? All of that is going to increase over time. If an NFL team isn't treated Travis right, yeah. But I say I don't see them messing with Travis like that. Of course, in time, all this stuff come back full circle because you don't have much control on the front end as you do the back end. You don't have as much control at where you go when you get drafted, and he can't control all these different components. But what he can do is a few years down the road, maybe when the rookie contracts are over, I don't know, and he position himself to get those players, or the team position themselves to get those players. It's more likely to do over time than it would be right now because both of them guys shooting for number one. So we know no Travis and Shadul are going to end up on the same team. Who's going to bankroll that? Well, that makes sense, right? So I see it as a down the road situation if it's going to be done, but I don't put nothing past him. At the end of the day, I don't put that. Nobody got time for all the wordplay though. I want Prime to get paid, but he hasn't won anything yet. How long will the Prime effect last until he begins to turn people off? It seemed like to me he would move on before a Prime effect wore off because when you gotta think about it, Jackson State, he left at the peak of the Prime effect. He didn't leave after because he had to stay there and keep whooping on them kids. He would have became the villain. Oh, get out of here. You just over recruiting. You just got all this talent because of your name. And then when it would have been turned negative, it was already turning negative. So that's why I feel like really he had to get up out of there. He was going to be the villain in there. Because jealousy was already there. Jealousy, he ain't that protected down there. And them he ain't got the facilities and the resources like he got at Colorado. So he had to get up out of there. He was already too big of a figure for that. Then all the light and shine he brought with it and the celebrities and all that. It's a tough thing. So he got out of there with the Prime effect still intact. And I don't think that he should stay in Colorado till it wears off. Because then you can't use it no more. He say either you can promote or you can demote it. I doubt he stay there till he gets demoted. Whether it's going to another program or it's going to the NFL. He's already given you his philosophy. And that's a smart philosophy. He ain't going out on what was the coach up there? It was Oklahoma State. All the accomplished. Then this year he had a he had a tough year, and now it's like everything he did in 20-some years is nothing. The worst year they don't have. That's not something I don't think he will allow himself to do. See you voting him in his first year. Yeah, he bringing the money. The thing is, he bringing the money to a place who didn't have the money. Remember, they hired him and it was like, we're gonna hire him on hopes that we know we'll be able to pay him from what he be able to produce. Now, look at a program or organization that had money is not an issue, and he brings the money on top of that. Yeah, you say it's more valuable at a place that don't have money because they're like, wow, we get somebody to have. But imagine when somebody invests in you and they got unlimited resources and you still bring them what you bring them. That's a probably an ideal situation. Now, what would they allow or not allow? Because they feel like I have something to offer you. I run this, I pay you. They may limit, and that's probably what has happened. But if they look at it and see it works on a marketing level, not in theory, it worked at the HBCU, but it works on this level, maybe they're more open to it. Maybe they put some restraints on some stuff, but maybe they see the value of it now. I don't know. I don't know what kind of conversation they have. Prime has brought 153 million plus, and it's time for the businesses to step up. And see, I don't know what's behind the scenes in the businesses. That why they not supporting them. I don't know why they not supporting them. Maybe it's a split. Maybe some people want them, and maybe some other people don't. Again, that's what happened at Jackson State. Some of the people who making decisions wanting them there, and some of the people they want to go back to their old ways and that he wasn't in line with. They didn't want him to be in control. That what determines a lot about how he's invested in and why they're not invested in him. I wouldn't look. It's you can't say they don't have money. So it's not a mistake that they're not putting stuff out there. As far as we keep talking about the NIL and all that. It's not a mistake that this is not taking place. So again, I think he probably would know more than we know behind the scene on why. Like, we found out why Jackson State didn't come up with the money. We found out that he wanted to do stuff with the stadium and build a new stadium and certain stuff traditionally that they didn't want to do. There's certain stuff that they wanted to do financially that he wanted to decide as a coach that the higher ups wasn't in agreement with. So of course it's a part because I have a different vision and you're not considering my vision. Maybe your ego is not considering my vision because you bump ahead. So go. Using on like players, UCU. I still believe he has to win the conference championship bowl game or next champ before he gets it. Well, that sounds good, but did he win the bowl game? He lost 2 bowl games at Jackson State. That didn't limit him. It was what we measure. But if a school say, forget that, we feel with our money and your influence, we can build a championship and your recruiting. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. It may hurt some people's feelings. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna tell y'all something about the college level. They may not be cheap. They may just not. It may be some stuff behind the scenes that they're not fully behind him. And if that comes out, it'll come out when he gone. Just like I think happened with Jackson. Able to keep the purse strings. Let me tell you something. I know that they don't switch. Like a few months ago, it was like Prime going to Florida. Florida turned out all right. He going to SEC. Whatever. Let me tell you something. If he did, how people say he can't leave. He got Juju. Get what? Juju can leave with him. See, when your coach leave, they set that port up where if your coach leave, you can leave. Look at half the doggone team in Indiana. All them boys came from James Madison. A lot of people don't want to talk about that story. about the portal. The reason why I was loud from the portal, because they ran with their coach. He loved James Madison. Now everybody always talk about that boy Pun and all that. Well, we wonder why Pun ended up there in Indiana. Well, his coach went to Indiana. James Madison was whooping everybody for the last couple of years. They were ranked. They gave that coach opportunity. The only thing that coach really did was try to keep that line. That one thing Coach Prime didn't keep was a line. Maybe they weren't good enough. I don't know. But he kept that line. And Benson left. I think Benson going back. I believe Benson but should have stayed up there. He should have stayed up there. Because at the end of the day, he was in a good spot. They did good. I seen a little thing, a little image on Facebook where they were saying, hey, we owe Indiana an apology because we dogged them out. Because they lost. They didn't belong in the playoff. And they only lost 2 games. And guess who they lost to? They lost to the 2 teams that's playing in the national championship. They lost to Oklahoma State during the season. They kind of stumped them a little bit. That's all they lost there. And then they lost to Notre Dame in the playoff first round. Think about that. But everybody ready to throw them down the drain. And that's really a good story. I mean, he came from a lower level conference and brought most of his players there. He brought more players to his team than Coach Prime brought to his team from Jackson State. Just to have all the hype and the story behind it. And they did very well in their first year. They didn't have no downtime. And they brought a program like Indiana, which everybody says is a basketball school, and the same there, they don't belong, and went all the way to the playoff with a whole portal team. Nobody didn't spotlight it as much because he wasn't Coach Prime. But he did the same thing Coach Prime did. So that show you a coach can hit the and no risk. That whole team can lead with him. I think Marshall had a similar situation where they couldn't even play in the bowl game. They got that portal set up so crazy that I would understand why a lot of coaches like, I don't know about this college thing. This is now it's more unstable than free agency and all that at the NFL. Because at least the front office is control of that at NFL. The kids, this way you get like, look at Beck. I just decided to go in the portal. I don't think nobody saw it. Maybe some people knew, but most people didn't see that coming. He got hurt or whatever. Next thing you know, he in the portal going to Miami for his last year. We thought they were trying to push him to compete. These players got extra years and stuff. They can come back. And they ain't going back to their regular team. They going to another team, get paid $4 million or whatever. But he could have easily supposed to been the guy who went into the draft this year, but it didn't turn out right. So he got some money, the more money he would get, and went down to another team. Didn't he stay with Georgia? So what does that tell you? A winning program, top program, your starter who can come back, not only not come back, he go to another team. That's the kind of stuff going on in college, y'all. I mean, this is a given. Because did you have it before? See, all your television and all that is not because they want to see Colorado. They want to see Coach Prime. And all that Coach Prime developed. 2 of them gone. His son, the whole villain drama story around him. Can he do it? Is he as good as his daddy? All of that brings eyeball because some people either want to see you fail or see you succeed. Travis Hunter, can he play both sides of the ball? The storylines were amazing. People, why are you watching them? They ain't good. It's like a movie. What are you talking about? Everybody want to see how the story gonna end. You don't know they're gonna win or not. They play good, they play bad. You don't find out till you there. But meanwhile, you got the highest views of anybody playing, and everybody jealous. The Oregon and all these people jealous. Why everybody watching them, getting all these clicks? We want clicks too, but you're gonna talk about them having clicks, but you're trying to get clicks because you're jealous. It's this thing here is so complex now. It's a complex situation. It's not what you thought it was. It's developed into a whole nother thing, and we're watching it. Okay, that's a good point. I think this is what it is too. I think that they're competing and fighting with the higher ups. And the scary thing is that's what happened to Jackson State. Ashley was very close, probably still to this day with Coach Prime, but he only can do so much as an athletic director when you're dealing with these board people and these the people over the city, and they have a different plan. You have people who are higher up than y'all little paid hired folks, because really you can lead too. The athletic director can lead too. So they don't really have the authority as the people who've been locked in with this institution for a long time. They hired you. I remember when Coach Prime, when he first came down, when he had that press conference, he remembered it was certain people who didn't want him there then. It was certain people who he pointed out later, hey, you didn't want me here. He know who didn't want him. He know who voted in that me, yay or nay. He know. People know around there. We may not know, but people know. Certain people to this day never change their mind. They don't like the rap music. They don't like the image, good, bad, and different. They feel like his representation of the school is not what they want. It could be with all the rappers on the entertainers on the sideline. It could be many different things. It could be some people with the PWIs, they don't want it to be too diverse. They don't want the influence of certain diversities of the hip hop culture, of the black culture, whatever they feel, why they feel, whatever. That's them. They have their reasons on why. Some of you may agree with, some of you may disagree with, some of you like whatever. And you got a mixture of opinions and a mixture of beliefs that's going on. And you're trying to get everybody on the same page. But it's a reason why it's a delay. It's a contract sitting on the table. He ain't signed it. Why? You can say because there ain't enough money. Get what? He left a contract on Jackson State. Jackson State had a contract on the table. We can say, oh, they didn't pay enough. It's always that's the case. He said it wasn't about the money there. I believe him. I don't think it's about the money here either. Because you got to think about the fact he can always go to the highest bidder. I'm sure a lot of people can pay him and will pay him more. Period. Because he's not even the highest paid coach in the conference he's in now. So that ain't, something open up in the Big 12, Big 10, or the SEC, maybe even the ACC. They probably can pay more. They probably can put him in a more ideal situation from a recruiter in the Southeast. He probably can go back to Florida. The weather, he can talk all that about the weather, but I bet he love it better. That's his home state. There's a lot of things that financially and it can come together that can make it dangerous for Colorado. But I think ultimately what's going to make it a deciding factor is the support behind them that we don't see and won't see. We probably hear about it afterwards, probably make certain hints. They're not going to talk about it. They didn't even talk fully about what happened to Jackson State. Exactly. We'll know everything afterwards. They'll talk about it. Somebody going to be talking about it. You might hear me talking about it, other people talking about it, and it'll be little news coming out, and some of it may be confirmed, some of it unconfirmed, but that's what it is. Yeah. We've seen what happened with Marshall. Have you ever seen older players speak highly of? When have you? I think the ones who definitely speak highly of them, the ones who maintain, they speak highly of them. I think Bentley gonna speak highly of them. Anybody you see him speaking highly of, Shane Coates, Silman Craig, and all these boys, Mayers, them boys who down the Hula Bowl, I think they gonna speak highly. Shadows, I think they're gonna speak highly of him. And he's speaking highly of them. You can look at the people he don't speak highly of, and you will see that they don't speak highly of him. I will never claim that he gets along with everybody because his style and his mindset may clash. That's the rumor here. The girlfriend he got, who she transferred down there when she came from Fresno, the NIL girl. I just kind of looked that up recently. I don't know. Bet got to be careful. Bet got to be careful. We've seen what happened with Rising and people like that, injuries, and he's gonna get the NFL. He better get that with the quickness. He got to get that with the quickness because he's losing ground. Let's see, I want to see Coach Ryan. He's doing it for the family brand. He also content creators like yourself could elevate content social. I think that it's gonna elevate one way or another. Um, I don't know what parameters will be set. I'm sure if he get a coaching job, he'll open it up, which means it'll open up to NFL. NFL got their own NFL networks, so they already got a lot of cameras and stuff. It's not a lot of social media in that area, but they got a lot of cameras. So I would say I think it's gonna level up anyway because certain content creators gonna expand anyway. Because when Shador go, they gonna be watching what his team do, and it's just not gonna be in one place. And they'll be watching what Travis do. And as the years go on and players go out, it'll expand naturally because this is the first, like our first wave was Weaver, just Weaver. And I say Jason is Justin Weaver. I'm getting his name messed up. I was trying to watch him, and he kind of did a little. He made the cut and all that, nothing big. But I think over the years, as we start to get more players out there, I think it will expand naturally, and depend on the content creator. And eventually, you will have some people play together and stuff like that. Something going on, man. I think it's possible. I think that's evident how he moved because I've seen how he moved when you had those boosters and alumni clashing. Because like I said, I've seen it with Jackson State. They clashed and they never got on the same page. And then he do stop. And he didn't talk a lot about it. And to this day, and everybody got mad at him, dogged him out. He just went on with his life. Have you or anyone needs to come see you? Heard from Cheryl C. I haven't heard in the video. No, that's a good question. I know she's doing a lot of stuff. I'm gonna have to see about that. I know maybe Colin. No, I know she's do a lot with Colin. That's why I should see a lot with Colin. Colin stuff. Life football. Maybe maybe I don't know if he communicate with it like that. But yeah, I haven't seen much about her either. Well, if he believes, he'll be bringing way more Louis with him this time. Yep. 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 Let's call it prime. What does that mean? Yeah, y'all go that. What does being too black mean? Elaborate on that. And what does that mean? Like him being too black, what they got to do with somebody else? Like, if does him being too black affect? And I give you my perspective too, because I've been to Colorado, and a couple of y'all probably heard me say a few times. I even mentioned it in Thursday. I give you my perspective on what I saw. Go ahead, Dwight Mike, and tell us what he means too black. What does that mean? I don't know. I believe it. Hip hop culture definitely is come on now, y'all gotta think about this. I remember when I'm in Georgia, I'm in Atlanta. Hip hop, been here. A lot of these people, hip hop things started in my lifetime. I know some of them. Went to school with some of them. These people, that in Atlanta, hip hop elevation in my lifetime in the 2000s, late 90s. And you gotta look at this. The culture is not it's not accepted by everybody. Because I think about like when the Braves had this political situation. The Braves was to host an All-Star game, and they moved it to Denver. And the whole argument was that they were gonna punish the powers that be because they were being racist to the black people. Yet Atlanta is one of the blackest cities. Most of the people who would have benefited from the All-Star game, like the vendors and all them people out there selling stuff, were black people. They already had moved the stadium from the black area into a northern part of which is Cobb County, which they during election time they call it black, but it's never been black. I went to college back up there. It's diverse to decently, but it's not a black area. And so that's where the game was at. And they're like, no, we're gonna punish the powers that be by moving it from this black city in the name of whatever. This is a whole racial identity thing and a political identity politics, whatever they call it. And they moved it to Denver. And I remember them saying Denver is one of the whitest cities in America as far as diversity. And I remember that. I know Boulder is even less diverse. So when you talk about an area that's already proven, I ain't really been exposed to the culture like that directly. Maybe on TV, BET, but it's a pretty isolated culture. And you hit them boom with all that prime stuff at once. It Ignorance is a thing. A lot of times people think it's racism, but racism is ignorance, and ignorance is the core of it. So, person may not mean no harm. They just got phobias and fears and superstitions and beliefs tied up about stuff because they ain't never dealt with it directly. So, I think that it's a lot when you bring somebody like Coach Prime, who not just a black man, he brought heavy doses of black culture, rappers, the players rapping, they doing all that, and that may be too much for somebody who already messed up in the head when it comes to that stuff. It's just a lot. So I think it's intimidating for people who not open to it and who refuse to be open to it. And it's always going to be a certain number of people that I'm not knocking nobody what they like and what they don't like because I think it's negative stuff that come with hip hop too. I think it's some negative stuff that come with hip hop that's affecting the Colorado football team, honestly. So I think that it has an impact when it goes to a certain level. And a lot of people say, oh, they're on the sideline and this and that. I don't necessarily rock with everybody on the sideline for some reasons that I don't think they quite who, what you think they are. But how does that affect the football team? I don't know. It could be affecting the football team. So I have my beliefs about certain stuff as well. So I can't knock somebody and be like, I don't know, we want that up in here. There's certain stuff that they will have I won't want in my house and want around my kids. Honestly. And that comes to beliefs. That comes to whatever you feel. You got the right to feel how you want. Nobody can't force you to believe. That's the mess we're in now. People want to force you to believe and accept stuff you ain't got to. And we got labels for it. We got races. We got all these phobias and we got names for it that pressure people to be open to stuff. Yeah, you should treat everybody with respect, but at the same time, you should respect their likes and dislikes. So I think that it has to be a balance. I don't think that one way is right or wrong, but you gotta respect. And if it's extreme and extreme, then that's what a clash happen at. If it's like I'm extreme black and other people like I'm extreme anti-black, then it can be a problem. And that's when you talk about racism and all that. I think it's an element of all that going on. And a lot of people lean heavy on the race and without doing the deep dive and what was really good. I think it's deeper than that out there. I think it's deeper than that. No smoke him because he negotiating with the top brass. He knows his worth. I'm sure that. Yeah, I mean, like he said, he will be a fool. He said, "I'll be a fool not to do that." He said that before, so it is what it is. I'm sure he having a conversation. He talking with the Raiders. He probably is. Why wouldn't if it's available? Just to see what it is. As a D others on the staff. Why not go to the league at the highest level as a head coach and bring your buddies? You got to think about it. His buddies don't been with him at every level too. It would be historic one way or another because they all came from top level. They started all the way at the bottom. They didn't start at high school. They didn't start at college. They started all the way. They built the youth league. They all went to high school together. They all went to college together. So it wouldn't be just him reuniting with his boys. It would be I took my boys with me all the way from the bottom to the top. That's one thing he's done. And they won at every level. Technically, they won at college level too. You may not be what you want. You may not be they ain't won no championship, but they've won in short periods of time. So if he go, you best believe them boys going with him. And we can have all kinds of he need to distance himself, he need to get better coaches, but he don't did it at every level. So it will be something to say if he was able to do it at the next level. Especially he talking about I got all this NFL experience, and then he taking all that NFL experience back to the NFL. That would be a story. That would be it would be like we seen him go to Jackson State, we seen him go to Colorado. Man, that social media would be thumping if he went to the NFL. And what off would be thumping all over again. It would be the completion of it. Him being locked in at the college level, I don't know if that benefits his story. He's a story type of guy. I don't know if it benefits his story to stop here, to not say I coach my kids at all levels, all 4 levels. Nobody's ever done that. They may coach them at the college level, they may coach them at the pro level. They may coach them. A lot of people have coached their son at the high school level, and way more have coached at the little league. Everybody, parents will coach them at little league level. But dog gonna say all 4. That's a feather to put in your hat. And he is a feather wearer. He is a guy who's about breaking the norms and breaking the impossible. He's a guy. So I wouldn't put it past him. Don't take it personal. If the dominant coach don't like Coach Prime at Colorado, then that peanut is willing to accept. Yeah. I mean, we always talked about it, y'all. He's not just a black coach. He is the type of coach who really embodies everything. Like, there's a lot of black people, oh, he's not part of the culture. He's just black. He just go along with the system. Coach Prime is bringing a whole nother element that's not normal to be expressed in the public of a black coach. They usually have to assimilate to the culture that's already there. He's bringing the culture. Yeah, and that's any coach. East Coast Kev, I just saw you on another show. I said, I ain't seen East Coast Kev in a while. Good to see you. East Coast Kev be on every show. He's probably bigger than all of the content creators because he done been in every Colorado content creator. He's established his brand. I want to do, I was thinking, I said, I want the East Coast Kev when he's out. I think when you drive trucks or whatever, and when you out and about, do people recognize you as much as the content creators? Because I know, I say East Coast Kev is everywhere. For those who don't know, Coach Bill McCarthy, who coached the Buffs to the only national championship, passed away this weekend. This weekend. See, they had another coach that died earlier, right? Wasn't there another coach that died early in the season? Something like that. Yeah, it was a coach that it was this season or last season. Because we went to the Nebraska game. Yeah, and they was talking about he was the one who created that he'd rather be dead than in red or whatever. Yeah. That's interesting. Appreciate the super chat. What was that? Super chat. I don't think that's a sticker. Appreciate that, East Coast KL. This thing show up differently on this. It don't highlight it like on my other one. Yeah, I mean, it's a culture, man. You got to think about these schools. These schools have been around a long time, and they've done things a certain way. So they really expect you as a coach and a player to take on their culture. That's like showing honor, like military. Like, it's an honorable thing when you transfer. You learn the fight song. You assimilate. I don't care where you came from, high school, college. You assimilate, and that coach is supposed to do the same thing. He's supposed to come in. And he might have 100 jobs before and 100 jobs after, but he gonna act like this the only job he ever had. He gonna speak the language, and that's just the sports culture. That's just the culture, y'all. That I put it that way. Coach Prime goes everywhere and takes his own culture. And I think people become offended. And like, oh, you don't know the fight song. You don't know the history. You don't take it. He experienced it at Jackson State, HBCU. So it ain't a white and black thing. They was offended that he came in saying, why are we playing these bowl games that got all this history? We need to stop them. And he stopped one of them. So he said he wasn't bringing in no money. He was looking at it from a money standpoint. They was looking at it, I don't care about the money. We've been doing this for 100 years. How dare you trying to stop this such and such classic? And they run into all these clashes over history and tradition. And I think you run into that no matter what school you at. We can't just put everything on color, because I think that he ran to Jackson State. Now he go in Colorado and certain stuff he do and try to change. I don't think he try to change as much because they don't have like classes and stuff. He joined in on the Nebraska thing, the Colorado State thing. He joined on traditions. They felt like he didn't do enough to do the whole the song and all. And then they like, oh, he changed the song with his, with that Yin Yang song intro, and then they said Shadua tried to change it with perfect timing, and everything he did, they were bothered by it. So that's what we run into, y'all. They said the rumor is they offered 8 million last year. That's laughable because Prime most likely exceeds that with the CU check. I mean, but that's they trying to compare to what the other coaches are doing. I think the top coach in the conference will be 8 million, I believe. But he probably looking at it like, well, shoot, they getting 14 over there at Ole Miss or something. I mean, he got plenty of leverage because of the money following him. Not necessarily the wins that's following him, but the money and the exposure. And if that school is looking for that, that's it's pretty leverage. If the school say I'm good with that, my tradition is good, the spotlight is good, they didn't want need a Coach Prime. They need a championship, then they go get Coach win championship. School, the bigger the bad, more pressure to win, less control. Yeah. That's how I go. Don't play nobody. And then who's nobody? Who we talking about? I mean, that's a silly. I mean, you can't be talking about Colorado because the SEC and all these other conferences, well, SEC in particular, specializes in playing cupcake games the first 3 games of the season and the last one. They play 4 cupcake games a year. So that whole play nobody narrative is foolish. Then half the teams in the conference may not even hit on that year. The only team is only a handful of teams who really is a threat, and you might not even play them. You might not see them until the championship. You might be in the bracket with them, or you might not. But you're not playing 12 hard games, or even 10. You're playing a good 8 at best, and then if you factor in a couple of weak conference people like Vanderbilt do every now and then, but usually they're not a threat. Arkansas, they're not really a threat. Tennessee, all right, every now and then. So Missouri, certain schools you better play them, but Kentucky every blue moon. So you say play nobody. The only thing that make them somebody is the conference they in, and then they lose, and then they don't have no rank. And the difference is when you beat an unranked team, well, at least they in the conference. But when Colorado beat a unranked team who was ranked before they played them, and they lost, they don't get no credit for it. It ain't Colorado's fault that they jacked the crap up. All the teams at the bottom end up playing better. BYU, Colorado, Arizona State, all of them end up on the top. Iowa State. It's not their fault that you thought that Utah was going to be a dog, Kansas State was going to be the dog, Arizona was going to be the dog, Oklahoma State, and they end up with the SARS records outside of Kansas State. So you can't say just because Colorado beat those teams and you had them preseason top 25, half of them was top 25 until they were losing, and they was losing to the same teams that everybody swore was going to lose. They was losing to the SAR teams who end up being at the top of the conference at the end of the year. You can't blame Colorado for that. They weren't ranked. They weren't ranked by the time they played them, but they was ranked teams. And they're not in teams, not even control of their rank. So you can't blame them. That you had them ranked at number 10, and then now you ain't got them in top 25. But then you can hold Miami and all them teams in the SEC and lose 3-4 games, and you still got them in the top 15. That's not their fault. That's nonsense. They're not in control of who they play ranked. Because from what I know, Colorado could have played a lot of everybody because all of them was in a 4-way tie to go to the championship. They only lost 2 conference games. They all beat each other. And one of them ended up playing, they got a second round bye. First round bye. And I almost beat Texas. Really should have beat them. But nobody respected them. Even on the Big 12. So who you saying nobody? Because that team played very well. And they represented the Big 12 very well. I think BYU would have represented decently. Did not Iowa State go and beat Miami? Say Cam didn't play. But all year they tried to put Cam in Miami at number one. Number two. They didn't barely, they didn't even want them to miss the playoff. A lot of people argue they should have been in the playoff. Iowa State went and beat them. They competed with a team that's all year. And Iowa State, for the most year, they, I don't know why, what buys they had, but Iowa State stayed in the top 15, top 20 most of the year until they no longer could. Once Arizona State and all them, they wouldn't lose certain games. But Iowa State, if Arizona State didn't do what they did, Iowa State, they actually played them in the conference championship. But if they had not won, it would have been BYU in there. That's how close it was. BYU would have been going against Arizona State. So you say you played nobody. So Big 12 conference was full of nobodies? That's nonsense. Because they all did well in the postseason. They all was highly ranked. But it's only bad because Colorado in there. Yeah, that hurts. No reason when you move big time sports events, but events in general. I remember when the Super Bowl came here, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a money thing. When you bring all these tourists and they got these hotels and they go on and the restaurants are sold out, and because you got that many people flood a little bit of town like Boulder and everybody down there spending money. Man, that's not much money flowing through that little bit of town. And the hotels all the way down to Denver. Denver about 30, 40 minutes away. And everything between Denver all the way up to Boulder and probably above Boulder. I ain't even trying to go. All of that was packed. Every one of them hotels had people from the game in it. You go, I went to the campus, like, where everybody at? Let me go back downtown. Downtown was packed. I didn't know I was supposed to go downtown. I want to get something to eat. Everybody was down there. It's like it hit, woo, like they didn't showed up. The downtown was it looked like Bourbon Street, but even more packed. All the little people out there doing little gimmicks to get paid, and everybody now shopping. Nobody doing that when you losing. You ain't making that kind of money when you losing. With everybody there, like me and all these people coming from all over. Everybody, there to eat and spend money. You're not benefiting from that. So that's a big deal. It's not in theory. I've seen it with my own eyes. Prime may want to tread like because he easily come. But see, the difference is Colin Kaepernick sucked. You can't compare him to Colin Kaepernick because everybody want to talk about this Colin Kaepernick. He wasn't at the top of his game when he went out. He was already on the bench. He was already underachieving. They didn't do that in his peak. They didn't do that to Colin Kaepernick when he was in the Super Bowl that one season. They did, I think he did good another season, but like that one season they did well when they went to the Super Bowl against the Ravens. That was the only season he really. He ain't had no stellar career. That's just hype. Coach Prime has produced. He's a gold jacket. He has the right to have the hype behind him. Colin Kaepernick was just a pawn, really, when you look at the whole narrative behind it and the whole that. Because in one day he was a good player. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't good enough to be in the NFL, but he wasn't no star quarterback. They got benched. He was already on the bench. He was already, it would be the equivalent of Coach Prime every year doing 4-8 and saying they dogging me out. Man, well, I can't tell the difference because you going 4-8 every year. But if he winning, then that's something else. Kaepernick wasn't still winning. He won. It seemed like he won from the situation. Nike gave him a bigger check than he was going to get from the NFL. He got paid more. I like Coach Prime, but my Raiders are good on him coming. I don't think he's going to go nowhere right now. But I mean, we can't act like it's not something that's going to come up in the next couple of years. It's the OJ effect, no matter how high you get. Yeah. I don't know, man. Coach Prime ain't living like OJ. I see, you gotta be careful. You compare OJ out there, but wild out there. Coach Prime don't live like OJ. Coach Prime take his butt home, go to bed 8 o'clock. He lives a very simple life. He go out and fish on the lake. He not partying. He not out there just reckless. See, Coach Prime, you ain't got a lot on him. You got plenty on OJ. You know, it's not no. Some people put themselves in certain situations by interacting with certain elements. Coach Prime don't mess with them elements. That's why you don't hear nothing about him. Just like we talked about with Travis Hunter. A lot of stuff you ain't gonna hear about him because he ain't out in the streets. So you can't compare him to people out there that's doing stuff. You know, he stayed himself. Coach Prime is an introvert. He always been an introvert. You really know it. He ain't a big time guy in the streets outside of when he trying to brand. He ain't out there like that. Going to another ball. College, man. College is gonna screw themselves. Tell you. They ain't gonna keep no coaches because coaches not gonna sell themselves out. You're not gonna be no coach nowhere for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not disrespectful. That's what other coaches are getting paid. It may be disrespectful to him, which doesn't mean he outgrown his market. Doesn't mean. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna fail or not, honestly. He could fail the NFL. But I'm pretty much certain he's not gonna coach as long as Nick Saban did. He don't have to. And then Nick Saban knew to get up out of this mess. This a reckless situation in college football right now. Can't build nothing. Y'all gonna start a quarterback in this upper league for no reason. Yeah. I mean, he definitely embraces black culture, but I mean, that's not typically the thing that you do when you go to college. You usually embrace the culture of the college, like I said, and most people ain't going for that. I mean, it may look like if you go to HBCU, it look like he doing what they doing, but he really not because he don't respect the culture of how they handle their money. Like he always talked about, which is the truth. The HBCUs are bad with how they manage their money. So that's a cultural thing because it's across the board. It ain't just at one school. And it's like they feel like that's the way they got to go about business. I don't know why. That's a cultural thing. He doesn't respect that. We seen Ed Reed go down there to Bethune-Cookman. They ran him off because he didn't respect how they handle business. But it was cultural. The crap go on. They changed presidents 27 times. They all still stealing the money. They still ain't grown. They still ain't all that money they bringing in. They still not upgrading facilities. They ain't managing the money right. And these guys come in with NFL and bigger money. They millionaires. They not these people. And they come in like, why y'all do this? This is inefficient. And they clash with your black face and all. Two black faces clashing because you see how far black go when the difference of ideologies. Because people look at skin color as ideology until the ideologies clash. You know, you looking at a black man and a white man, you said they clash. Okay, they might get along better than two black if their ideologies are the same. You know, you look at two black men, no matter how black you are, if my ideology is I have certain exposure financially and just business wise, and I go meet the dude from the streets. No matter how black you are, y'all gonna clash. You got two different ways looking at life, two different experiences. You're gonna clash. And then you're gonna all that black crap go out the window when you say Coach Prime, he act white or he because his experiences and his resources and stuff may relate better to that. And he go to HBCU and clash all kinds of ways. You know, why y'all doing that crap? That don't make no sense. Why we gonna go play a game and get beat to sleep and spend money and we keep crumbs and our teams is crushed? Why we don't want to go play no big school? That was Coach Prime who started saying that. We're gonna beat the mess out of for fun and pay us little money, and we spend all of it on travel and hotel, and we ain't got nothing but 25,000 left after all that. We just get paid to get our butt whooped. So they should be back today. Has a lot to learn in terms of culture. Yeah, I think that's ongoing, and I think he is learning. That's a good point. Saban had no first round. Uh, and it said Saban, totally different entity. Never tell anyone what they can do. Fears are for those who don't believe in themselves. Yeah, they got different background, different skill sets, different audiences. Yeah, Coach Matt is Bill McCarthy, the same one. So, so I thought they said he been died. Somebody said, who died this weekend? I thought the one who said better be. Did he die around Oklahoma during Nebraska time, or did he get sick? I thought he had died then, because they was offended when people was talking about him. I thought he had died back then. Is it two different people? It's Fragrance. I mean, hey, hey, players run the team, not the coaches. That's true. And I don't think, and that's what something I don't think he really want. You know, the attitude. Yeah, it's different NFL. It's a different college too. They fumble the bag. They fumble the bag all the time. That's what I'm saying. I think they fumble more than his bag. They fumble just the bad period. I mean, we talking about money management. Something going on. That's all they on the planet. No one else wants to be like him, which is one. Hmm. Yeah, the players come and go. All right, and yeah, he talked about that. Yeah, he stopped that classic. Yeah, he stopped that classic at Jackson State, and they were mad. Well, he's like, man, he looked at that money and said, money is negative. We're going in the negative with this. Yeah, I think he'd be a good GM. I think he'd be a good GM. I was thinking if he retired from college football, he would go be a GM. I think he'd be a good GM. Yeah, because he makes those kind of decisions. You know, as far as the in and out coaching, I don't know if he want to do all that. Players get fired every year. Yeah, they get everybody fired. Get themselves fired too. All by himself, only two other people. Yeah, can't talk about not playing nobody when they get mercy. I don't say people that you gotta listen to these self talk. These folk, man, all these cupcake games. Get a cupcake game at the last two games of the season when everybody else on the line, and you guaranteed walk into the doggone your SEC championship or whatever because you playing them cupcake. Everybody else in Colorado went down and lost to Kansas. They had cupcakes the last couple games. Then they would have been good. They ain't got a chance to lose. Right now, he said, Mike, right now, never had a losing season. So you listen to silly folks you want. Man, that I don't know. The organization will cut you. Players don't run anything. Yeah. Go somewhere else. It's a simple week. Yeah, I ain't gonna catch up with all y'all here. Y'all doing y'all thing in this chat, boy. Y'all doing it. I appreciate everybody coming through and supporting here. Make sure y'all like, make sure y'all share, make sure y'all subscribe. Keep this thing going. This thing never gets old when you look at Colorado. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the hot topic. Sometimes stuff be hot and it don't necessarily deserve to be hot. It's just hot because Coach Prime there, which it benefits because it keeps their name out there. It keeps people like us talking about it. But ultimately, it's just not really going to start all over again. The players coming in, we have time going forward to talk about what we see. They got a nice core group of linebackers coming in, which kind of been lacking the last couple of years, especially when it comes to depth. I feel like some guys played hurt, like Bentley and all them played hurt in the package we ran where it'd be no linebacker or one linebacker. You put a safety in, it just looked bad at the end of the year. But like the trenches is filling out. You got some nice offensive line coming in. You have some nice linebackers coming in, like I said, some nice defensive line coming in, and you plugging in what you already had, plus that. So you got all of this going on. Secondaries, I see Hodge is coming back. So you have some depth in the secondary that's maintaining. You're not starting from scratch. You got some safeties that's gonna be able to step up, fill in two strong safeties. We'll see what your boy Stockmeyer do, and some of them guys are already there. We got some safeties coming in, so we get to see a revamp of this team. Hopefully, we don't lose more key coaches in between time. We'll see about that, but still waiting to see what the offensive line coach is gonna be, I believe, and I don't know. We'll talk about in the future, but I don't know about what's going to go on with the scheme because I don't know. We blame Shador or the scheme when it came to the offense, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Was it Shador? Is it gonna be still sideways, or you would think they would adjust to the quarterback? So we got a lot that we're gonna be looking at and covering over time. We ain't got to cram it all today. We're not gonna cram it, but make sure y'all here like, share, subscribe. I'm Greg. Greg said it. And as always, I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.